Good afternoon, Red Foxes. Campbell Woods here with our quick update on pre-IRA information for all of our race fans. We, in our last update, talked about our final regular season championship regattas, the Dadvale and the NIRC regatta, which were full team events. And given our performance over the course of the season and then at our championship, Maris did not qualify this year for the full team bid for the IRA, which means that we will be sending a varsity 4 to compete this year. In the aftermath of those races, we came back to Marist about a week and a half ago now. The athletes had finals that week. And so the varsity athletes, the oarsmen from the varsity 8, had a very difficult finals week. They had to do all their finals and deal with seat racing and determining who was going to be in these lineups for the IRA. So we had 8 athletes from the varsity 8 return that week to do some seat racing. You will know most of their names already. Tristan Wistuba, James Hodge-Andreas, Will Shockley, Reed Livingston. The 6 seat is, sorry, the 4 seat I'm blanking on because I'm silly. Matthew Roscoe and Austin Thomas, Charlie Latimer, and Thomas Graves. We're all in that group. We asked 2 coxswains to stay here with us to help us with seat racing, Tessa Kursman and Evie Diskay. We, over the course of that week, did a whole series of seat races. The first 2 sets were head-to-head. We did those on Thursday and Friday, and we isolated 2 athletes, Thomas Graves and Will Shockley, as locks for our lineup, and then we determined who the next 4 were going to be, which was Charlie Latimer and Tristan Wistuba on port side, and Austin Thomas and Reed Livingston on starboard side. Also, special shout out to Ian Sondoff and Jackson Bauer from the 2V, who both helped us out at various points during finals week, jumped in to some lineups when athletes couldn't be here or we had some shakeups that needed to happen. They jumped in and helped us out. Did a great job. And so we came into the beginning of this week with 2 athletes that were a lock for the boat, and then 4 athletes to select for the last 2 seats. On Monday, we were up at the Rondout Rowing Club on the Rondout Creek up in Kingston. This is probably the 3rd or 4th year we've gone up there to use their facility a bit. We had a really windy day on the Hudson that day, and that was definitely helpful for us to get out on the creek. Excellent water up there as usual, and special shout out to Scott, their head coach up there, and the group that plays host to us. Is a fantastic spot. On Tuesday, we drove down to Cortland Manor, and we went out rowing at the facility of the Cortland Community Rowing Association, which I know several of our alumni are connected with or row there. It's on a very small lake or pond called Lake Miahag, right in Cortland Manor. And really nice, protected, narrow water with no current. It was a pretty windy day, and we still had excellent conditions to do what we wanted to do. We used that trip to do our final time trialing to determine who was going to be in our racing lineup. So we ran 8 different time trials in 8 different lineups, with all 4 of those athletes mixing in and out in different combinations. And we ended up with a lineup for the IRA that we're going to be racing. So it's going to be Will Shockley in the stroke seat. He's a freshman from Fairfield, Connecticut. And he was 6th seat in the varsity 8 most of the year. He's been an exceptional athlete from start to finish of this year. Extremely disciplined. He's become our top athlete on the erg very consistently. Not every day, but almost every day. And so he's going to be in the stroke seat. The 3 seat is going to be Thomas Graves, senior. He'll be graduating this Saturday. I did not mention Thomas in our last video, in part because I suspected that he might be making his way back in this lineup. But we do owe him a senior shout out here for the legacy that he has had at Marist. As we're going through graduation time, it's always a time for me to kind of reflect on the different careers that guys have had. And Thomas Graves this year, I think, has had a lot of kind of full circle moments. He started his freshman year winning the Varsity 4 event at NIRC, and then going to the IRA that year in the Varsity 4. But that year, the whole team had qualified. And so the Varsity 4 was kind of our lower, underperforming group of athletes. And this year, he not only has been in our Varsity 8 all year, but he has now qualified to be in this top boat based on his seat racing ability and the hard work that he's put in. And so it's been cool to see him go from being kind of one of the guys at the back of the pack as a freshman to slowly rising through the ranks throughout the years, and now being one of the fastest 4 athletes on the team to represent us one more time at the IRA. So the really cool story. I look at Graves as he's the smallest guy in this boat for sure, visually. And he simply has learned how to outrow everyone. You could tell during seat racing that he just had a level of comfort and an ability to push himself that was above and beyond the other athletes on starboard side. So really cool to see his progression over the years, and we're excited to have him in the boat one more time for us at the IRA. Sitting behind him in a bucket is going to be Reed Livingston. He has been pretty consistently our second fastest erg, hanging right behind Will pretty much throughout the season. So he's going to be our powerhouse on starboard side, and we're looking forward to continuing to work and develop with him. He did really well in our time trials, and really, really tall, strong athlete. So looking forward to seeing what he can bring to the table. And then in the bow seat behind him, equally tall and long, is Charlie Latimer, another freshman. So the full lineup is 3 freshmen and a senior. Our 2 spare athletes are Austin Thomas, freshman, and then sophomore Tristan Wistuba, who was in this Varsity 4 last year. So just a demonstration of the depth that the team has gained. Tristan made this lineup last year as one of the racing athletes. He has gotten significantly faster over the course of this year. It's just that all these other athletes are getting fast as well. So I know Tristan's really pumped that the whole team is getting faster together, and he's been an important part of that process. He was the stroke seat of our varsity 8 throughout the season, and did a great job in that role. And so I think we're all really excited about the speed that the whole group is showing and the progression. I think that if you ran those same seat races between Charlie and Tristan 2 months ago, you might have seen a totally different result. So that speaks to the progression and development that's happening very rapidly in this group. Austin Thomas, I think the same thing. He's a very well-developed athlete arriving here, but he had never done any sweep rowing. And so to jump in and learn rowing on a whole new level, and learn how to sweep row, coming from an entirely sculling background and an entirely small boat background, to being able to make this top group to go to the IRA as a spare is really huge. And then finally, our coxswain is going to be Evie Disque, a freshman. Evie came out really strong at the beginning of the year, working with our freshmen and with our third varsity 8 throughout the spring. She, I believe, was selected by the crew for a whole variety of reasons, but she has a really fantastic skill set. Hyper aggressive, very focused, and has kind of a perfect combination of traits and personality that the athletes really have enjoyed working with. And I think that there's some synergy with her being as young as she is and the boat being as young as they are. There's some connectivity there, that this whole group is kind of coming together and finding new speed together. And I'm definitely excited that Evie will have an opportunity to get an early look at this regatta, as she will likely be in an important leadership role in the years to come, when we're hoping to be shooting for a full team qualification and not just this varsity 4. So that's our lineup. Will Shockley, Thomas Graves, Bree Livingston, Charlie Latimer, and Evie Disque, and then our 2 spare oarsmen, Austin Thomas and Tristan Wistuba. We are busy training now. We brought that group through the day on Wednesday. We got our rate up a little bit yesterday morning. Today we had our first big 2K prep in some pretty typically disgusting Hudson River water. So we're hoping that the forecast is going to improve. As you can tell, I'm all bundled up. It's been very uncharacteristically cold so far, which I'm actually grateful for. Most years when we get into this IRA training period, it's like 1,000 degrees and crazy humid. So it's been a relief to not have that so far this training period. And we have another couple of bigger 2K prep speed workouts over the next 4 days, and then the athletes will be tapering off again and getting ready to go into race day. The IRA runs from May 30th through June 1st. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday. The 4 event that we are in races on Friday and Saturday. We will have time trials at 11:30 a.m. on Friday. And then we will have semifinals that afternoon starting around 3:30. And then finals on Saturday, depending on where we land, will lie somewhere between 10 a.m. and around 11:45 a.m. For Saturday's race docket. This event is like the Wild West every year. You really have no idea who is going to be fast or not fast. There are some kind of perennial favorites who do well every year. In particular, Cal and Washington have had such deep programs in the past that they have typically fought for the win in this event. But that said, there have also been exceptional crews from small programs like Marist in many of those grand finals in each year. So, I would have a very, very hard time predicting where we think this Marist crew will line up based on other crews. I really have no idea how fast these teams are. We have not raced them in fours, so we don't know exactly how fast each group is going to be. I don't even quite yet have a full lineup of what teams are going to be in our event with us. So the focus for our crew is going to be on the time trial, getting the best time in there that we can to set us up for some great racing in semifinals. In my opinion, making the ABC semifinal is a great first goal for our group. So that'll be what we're focused on over the days to come. I do think just watching the crew and seeing how they row and knowing their erg scores, Josh and I are both pretty confident that we believe this crew is probably faster, significantly faster than last year's four. They are definitely visually a smoother, longer crew. And so we're excited to see what that can develop into. And again, there's a sense of real excitement that, here we are with our fastest four guys. Only one of them is a departing senior. And so we feel like these guys are just barely scratching the surface of what we can accomplish in the long run. The team obviously has significantly greater ambitions than only racing in this event. But if this same group continues to come back in this category in future years, we are guessing that they are going to be able to get dramatically faster over time. So I think that's an exciting prospect for the crew. Aside of that, I don't have a lot of information about the event. I do not believe that there is any kind of admission fee to get in, but I could be wrong, so I don't want anyone to quote me on that. I will, in the days leading up to the event next week, I will be sharing more information about the race site itself, how to get there, best places to watch. This year's IRA is going to be at the Cooper River in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. I believe it's like the Cooper River Park is the official name of the venue. It is a fantastic race venue, one that I love. I like it a lot more than Lake Mercer, where we have typically gone in past years. In particular, one of the things that I like about it is that there's a great bike path that runs the full length of the race course, that you can follow the races and see how each race progresses. So those of you who saw me at Dadvale saw me kind of perpetually out of breath from constantly biking 2,000 meters back and forth, following all of the athletes' races. But thank you for everyone who has chimed in and helped out and helped set us up for this race. In particular, thank you to our Marist administrative staff. Adding an event like this at the tail end of every year is obviously not easy, and not every team sends a varsity four like this every year. And so I think that it is a mark of commitment that Marist has to the team and to the sport, that they see the potential that is grown at this event every year. The athletes that we have looked back on, the various boats that have gone in the past in this event, almost always have included major players from the varsity 8 that have been an important building block for future 8s. And I think that that's an exciting way to view and treat this event. So we're looking forward to seeing some of you down in Cherry Hill for the IRA. And we will be back at you next week with more information. In the meantime, special shout out to the athletes who made the cut for this year's IRA crew, and go Red Foxes.